First, a question. Back to Turkey,
yeah, okay.
I guess.
I'm Gülsün Salame from Turkey. We have been talking about these bottom-up approaches in the new leadership decision-making processes. So in the future, it will be more bottom-up, processes which will create impact on the decision-makings. But we haven't talked about building trust between leaders and people. So that's very important in this process. I mean, if the leaders are able to build trust between the stakeholders and between the people and themselves, then the process will be much more efficient. What do you think about this, building trust and transparency?
Well, and what works in building trust?
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly the point I made right at the beginning, and that is that if a leader thinks he or she can lead without ethical values, and trust would be one of them, reliability, credibility, and most important, as far as I'm concerned, integrity. People must know that they can rely on this leader. And then the second part, which is about the compassion part, and that is connecting with people and realizing that it is about people and relationships. That's the essence as far as I'm concerned.
In this change of age, can you build trust?
Well, I don't have these answers because we've all got them. We've got to invent it. The trouble with the age we're going to is there's no rule books, you see. I mean, I've studied business and I've got all these libraries full of books telling me how to do things, but it's all I'm leading from the past. Leading from the future, there are no books, so I'm, with everybody else, making it up. So I might say something that has no sense whatsoever, but I'm giving it a shot. So I don't have any answers. But what I can say is that I've noticed that whereas leadership in the past was something that wasn't questioned and you didn't have to earn, now you have to earn your leadership more and more, and particularly again with young people. And I think earning leadership is ultimately about, and then therefore they will give it you, they will concede leadership to you because they respect you. And trust can only be on actually saying things and then doing what you say. And it's that simple, to be consistent in your thought and your actions. And then people know who you are, where you are, and if they buy into you, and they'll trust you. And that's the thing. How do you now, as a leader, earn people's trust and respect?
And just to add, I agree with Josephine, trust is personal. You can't teach trust to leaders. And so as we look at leadership development, we try and reinforce it's about authenticity, it's about sincerity. Because the balance of power now in employment is very much with the employee. You know, they're very selective about whom they want to work for. And so in the war for talent, and there really is a war for the best talent, employees will select the organisation and the person that they work for. And to your point, they want to trust the person, not just with their career, but with a huge piece of their life. And so we have to be mindful of that and really try and encourage our leaders to kind of walk the talk with an authenticity, with an openness, because people work for the person and not the job title.
And interestingly, I don't know if anyone in the audience knows, there is a whole movement on authentic leadership. Alia, I think, in Canada is one of the big groups there. And in Holland, where I still work a lot, with a lot of leaders, have been going through some of these authentic leadership. And it really is very demanding. It's asking of the leader to go into a very personal journey of their own intrapersonal and emotional and authentic space, so that you can discover your own authenticity, and if you discover your own authenticity, you are then able to be in the moment. And people know when you're in the moment because you're making the right decisions. So it's partly a personal journey for the leader.
We're at the 10-minute point. I wanted to see how many hands still have questions. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take those 4 right in a row, and maybe that will give us a chance to comment in a collective way, please.
Thank you. Mine is mainly a comment.
Where are you from?
I am from the Gambia. I'm the Minister of Basic and Secondary Education, and my name is Fatou Lamin Faye.
Welcome, Minister.
Thank you. My point is to do with the point that Paul made, that leaders do not need to empower people. They just need to recognize that people have power. And I think what we've done in the Gambia is when we had problems getting girls enrolled in schools and stay in school, what we did was to work with the mothers and created mothers clubs in collaboration with UNICEF, and have these mothers clubs work with the schools. And we started seeing great improvements in getting the girls enrolled and staying in school with the support of those mothers. And that is why we have been able to attain gender parity at the basic level. So it's important that we build the capacities of the parents, because they have a huge role to play in the education of the children. And I thought I should just share this, because it's an innovation that was done with UNICEF, and it's paying off for us. And I think although I must say that the fathers also attempted to establish a fathers club, but it didn't work.
That's why I'm concerned.
Thank you. Just pass the microphone back to the lady there, and then I believe the gentleman down the road. Go ahead.
Sarah Cunningham. I used to be, as of July, Arts Education Director for the National Endowment for the Arts in the United States government. And my comment, or maybe question, is related to the fact that we have a mechanism to address some of the concepts, knowledge mechanism to address what you're talking about at the youth level, because our young artists are in their 20s and 30s, and they look and they evaluate modes of knowing and thinking and being and seeing and observing and understanding, and they represent those in the works that they provide to us in choreography, in visual arts, in media arts, and they're constantly experimenting, and they're experimenting in a safe place, and so often if they're provided that opportunity. So I think that mechanism is a place to find the change ideas. It already exists in aesthetic knowledge, and so I just wonder what your comments are, because there is also, if you look at many leaders have aesthetic, they're constantly engaging in the arts in some way. It's in their leisure time. They can afford it. And so we have a challenge that it is sort of elite activity, and yet it's constitutive of knowledge and understanding of the world and other cultures, of self-understanding of where one's own limitations and ignorance might be. So I just wonder if you have any thoughts related to aesthetic knowledge.
Thank you. And after this gentleman, there was perhaps, back to Father Peter. Okay.
I'm sorry. Mine is the comment. First, I believe people will always need the leaders, successful leaders, to lead them.
And you are from Qatar?
I am Ahmed Al-Hamadi. I'm from Abu Dhabi Education Council, UAE, Emirates. And I believe people will always need successful leaders to lead them. But now, I think a successful leader will be a leader who defines a message, but with the community. Here, where we need really, the leaders need these platforms to understand what the community requires, and then based on that, based on in this involvement, build a message that we all share and work accordingly. Because by that, we will be able to judge whether the leader is a successful one or needs to be, replaced or judged, I just wanted to say that. Thanks a lot.
The importance of shared vision. And this will be the last question, and then I'm going to have us come across the panel for a conclusion. Yes.
I'm Peter Bray I'm Vice-Chancellor at Bethlehem University in Palestine. I was very interested, Josephine, in your comment about 30, 40 years ahead of what the organisation will be like. I think the characteristics of the organisation that you mentioned are beginning to emerge now. And I think, therefore, we need to start thinking about a different way of thinking about leadership. Most of the ways in which even you people have been talking today, when you ask the question, where is leadership vested? Generally, it's vested in a person in a position. And I think we need to think of a different way of thinking about leadership and ask the question, what would happen if we vested leadership in the relationships that exist within a group? And it's a whole different way of operating, a whole different way of thinking about the way in which we collaborate. And so my question is, if we're going to think about leadership that way, what are the ways that we prepare for that? It's not, could I say, it's not focusing on individuals who are going to be prepared for leadership positions, but rather looking at ways in which as a group, as an organization, we entrust people with the power for leadership to emerge from the nature of the relationships that exist there. So my question is, how do we in organizations, and I'm particularly interested in universities, how do we prepare people to be engaged in that sort of leadership?
And of course, the question from Twitter that so grabbed me was, can you teach leadership? And where do you teach it? Is it the workplace? Is it the university? Let's take a concluding comment from each of our panelists. And who would like to start? All right, so we'll go Wayne, Josephine, and Paul, the last word.
Sure, and some great questions there. You know, can you teach leadership? I don't think so. I mean, what you can do is work with leaders and equip them to be even better leaders. But, you know, more so in the 21st century than ever before, because of some of the personal traits now that come out in leadership. You know, again, think about the really successful CEOs of companies, the entrepreneurs. You know, they take risks, they're very visible, both personally and professionally, and that inspires and that leads to a following, which means they attract talent. And that's very different. And so a manager in the 20th century would have a job description and a job title that would determine what they do. Today, there are no boundaries, there are no barriers. So can you teach people that? Not really. What you can do is give them skills and techniques and tools that enable them to build on their base capabilities. And clearly when you've got people that have development needs, you can help counter that. But I don't think you can actually teach the skill of leadership, because increasingly it's more natural and it's more intuitive. And so when people say to me, well, look, what is leadership to you? It's really simple. It's defining reality, give hope, supply direction. It sounds really easy, but, you know, be honest with them about what's going on. You know, give hope around where you're trying to take them, and give some base direction to help people get there. It sounds very easy, but it works for me.
Thank you.
I have no idea what leadership is. And that's serious because, and it's interesting, we have, even geographically, the gentleman here and the gentleman here with two different views of it. And I think just as everything is going to be everything and more of, and we're going to have so much diversity, we're going to have many different ways and many different models of leadership. Can you teach leadership? No. But can you experiment and explore leadership to find there won't be one leadership, there will be many different expressions of leadership. And the thing I think is that we have to start the journey. We've no idea what 30 or 40 years down the line will look like, because we will make it every day. But what we can do is, in all of our organizations, start to incubate, experiment, explore concepts of leadership. Because I'm certain there will be many different types, and bring them on. We don't want one type of leadership. There's no one size will fit all, not in the complex, diverse, colourful world we have. So I think that my optimism in this is, first of all, that looking and listening to the audience, and this has made me very happy, we seem to share a lot more than anything that divides us. And that is my takeaway. I'm going to go away incredibly happy about that, because I have actually experienced it, and that gives me hope. And the second thing is, let's just have the courage to risk. You start experimenting in GE, you experiment in where you are, you experiment in Bethlehem, and we will do it. We will try, we will fail, we will risk, we will make it. There will be many models.
I want to agree with my two co-panelists as far as the question on can you teach leadership is concerned. Nothing further to add as far as that is concerned. As far as the concept of a panel of leadership, of a circle of leadership, I think, and this is where Wayne and I have said earlier, that people look up to leaders. They want to work for leaders. No longer would they want to go to the University of Bethlehem. They want to go to X, Y, and Z's university, etc., etc. So there will always be this iconic leader, this inspirational person who will have to even lead the group. But the group is becoming more important in the process. And thank you for the opportunity to be here, to listen to the questions, and to hear what my colleagues and the audience have said. Great learning experience for me as well.
Well, I think these debates have created a community of people with an interest in leadership. The first university president I worked for, when I asked him, how do you tell what is a university leader, he said, they're just like fish. When they die, they go right to the top. I hope we've made some progress since then. And with leaders like our panel, I think we have a good chance of making it into the future. Thank you so much.